Guys, is Luigi Mangione a time traveler? No, he is not. But unfortunately, it takes that type of clickbait to get you wieners to watch any videos nowadays. Now that you're here, check out this.
There's a growing sense that, on the one hand, the support for capitalism, the support for economic growth was there, but on the other hand, it doesn't seem to be reaching the millions of average Americans the way it ought to be. I think there was a sense, too, that democracy was not working, right? Does it make sense in a land of opportunity where the voice of the average person was not being heard in the halls of Congress? Congress was at the beck and call of the wealthy industrialists, the bankers, the financiers, the industrialists. So there was that sense that it wasn't, the democratic process was not working.
That is history professor Gregory Wilson talking about the year 1901, specifically the conditions that led Leon Czolgosz to assassinate President William McKinley. Czolgosz believed that there was a great injustice in American society, an inequality which allowed the wealthy to enrich themselves by exploiting the poor. And while you're here, I should show you this portrayal of Leon Czolgosz, played by comedian Patton Oswalt on the show Reaper.
I want you guys to know, I worked very hard on my psychological health. So what I'm about to do is very difficult for me. It's really gonna hurt my heart. There's no freaking way I'm going back to hell.
Any chance I can get out of here for therapy at 3 today?
No, I'm not letting you out.
Well, why not?
Let's start with the original problem, Leon. You were an assassin.
You mean shooting President McKinley? Oh, you're gonna hold that against me?
Yes, I am.
That was 100 years ago. I'm completely over that now.
So Czolgosz was inspired by the assassination of the King of Italy that happened in the previous year. Italy? Huh? Italy? King Umberto I of Italy was shot dead by Gaetano Bresci on July 29, 1900. Bresci told the press that he had decided to take matters into his own hands for the sake of the common man. He was sentenced to life in jail and was later found dead of an apparent suicide. Hashtag Bresci didn't kill himself. Before the assassination, Bresci was living in New Jersey, but returned to Italy after hearing about the Bava Beccaris massacre. Bava Beccaris was an Italian general. In May 1898, a series of strikes began due to rising food prices. The government tried to suppress these strikes, leading to riots in several Italian cities. This ultimately escalated to a violent overreaction from the military that killed 80 demonstrators and left 450 wounded. By 1914, a New York-based group named after Bresci, the Bresci Circle, had reached 600 members. That year, the group was implicated in a plot to assassinate John D. Rockefeller, a move of retaliation for the Ludlow Massacre. The Ludlow Massacre was the seminal event of the 1913-1914 Colorado Coalfield War. It began when United Mine Workers of America went on strike against the poor labor conditions in the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company's Southern Colorado coal mines. It was called the deadliest strike in U.S. history. On April 20th, 1914, soldiers from the Colorado National Guard and private guards employed by Colorado Fuel and Iron Company attacked a tent colony of roughly 1,200 striking coal miners and their families in Ludlow, Colorado. Approximately 21 people were killed, including miners' wives and children. John D. Rockefeller Jr. was part owner of the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company and was widely blamed for orchestrating the massacre. So 3 months after this event, a group of anarchists believed to be tied to the Bresci Circle carried a bomb to the Tarrytown estate of his father, John D. Rockefeller. They failed to trigger the device, and also John D. Rockefeller was out of town. The anarchists brought the bomb back to a tenement in the Italian section of East Harlem, near the Bresci Circle headquarters. Later that day, an accidental explosion from the bomb demolished half of the building and killed 3 anarchists. So be careful out there, kids. And also, don't read the Anarchist Cookbook. You'll blow your hand off. It's written by the FBI. A frequent speaker at the meetings of the Bresci Circle was Emma Goldman. Back in 1901, Leon Czolgosz had met Emma Goldman a few months before the assassination of President McKinley. She later wrote a defense of him, stating, "Who can tell how many times this American child has gloried in the celebration of the 4th of July, or on Decoration Day, i.e. Memorial Day, when he faithfully honored the nation's dead. Who knows but what he too was willing to fight for his country and die for her liberty."
And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
I don't know what to say. I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is there may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
Well, here's one argument made by Antifa member Mark Twain. There were two reigns of terror if we would but remember it and consider it. The one wrought murder in hot passion, the other in heartless cold blood. The one lasted mere months, the other had lasted 1,000 years. The one inflicted death upon 10,000 persons, the other upon 100 millions. But our shudders are all for the horrors of the minor terror, the momentary terror, so to speak. Whereas what is the horror of swift death by the axe, compared with lifelong death from hunger, cold, insult, cruelty, and heartbreak? What is swift death by lightning compared with the death by slow fire at the stake? A city cemetery could contain the coffins filled by that brief terror which we have all been so diligently taught to shiver at and mourn over. But all France could hardly contain the coffins filled by that older and real terror, that unspeakably bitter and awful terror which none of us have been taught to see in its vastness or pity as it deserves.
I don't think that I don't think one should ever glamorize murder.
This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero, and tonight he's not guilty. My take next. Mangione isn't a hero. He's a zero. And as a New York jury found, Daniel Penny isn't a killer. He's a good Samaritan.
And it's all sort of fake, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't think Taylor Lorenz is willing to do this herself or whatever, right?
This is true. It remains a fantasy because the working class has a morality that the ruling class does not display. The ruling class knows that they are generally safeguarded by the simple reality that the violence from the working class is forced to be direct and cold-blooded, while the violence from the ruling class is mediated and indirect, which is why they have conditioned themselves and us to not see it or feel it as actual violence. Their actions are normalized because we all believe it to be a necessity in our society. Heaven forbid we change our society, but it is still violence, and people die as a result of their quest for profit.
People lose homes, people lose jobs, people lose retirement savings, people lose pensions. You know what I hate about fucking banking? It reduces people to numbers. Here's a number, every 1% unemployment goes up, 40,000 people die. Did you know that?
No.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
We were just excited. Just don't fucking dance.
All right.
Where are you going? Whoa, I just got really scared.
There is perhaps only one main lesson here, and that is political ideology means less than class consciousness and class solidarity. So there you have it. Luigi Mangione returns as a spectre from the past. Sorry, no weird conspiracy theory, but history can be just as fun and weird as conspiracies. The truth is out there.
Weimar Germany in the 1920s. Weimar.